Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn today on our YES application. Thank you all so much for joining. So in our discussion today, you'll get the chance to learn more about our youth employment system, YES. It's one system that does it all, everything from accepting, processing, tracking, and managing job applications. We also have a special focus today on grant funding for youth programs. So you'll get a chance to learn about some available opportunities that may help you and your youth program grow. All right, so before we get into that, I just want to start off with some introductions. My name is Zena. I am a solutions advisor here at DigiCon. My colleague Terry and I work alongside our development team to meet with clients about the YES application. I also wanted to introduce a few of our development team members, Mark, Sharupa, and Ragini. They are the creators of the YES application and will be available throughout this meeting to answer any questions that you might have. Lastly, I'd also like to introduce our guest speaker, Ali Talcott. She is the Government Affairs and Legislative Counsel for the National Summer Learning Association, and she's going to be joining us today to speak about those grant opportunities for youth programs that I mentioned. So before I pass it over to you, Ali, I do want to open up the floor to some introductions. So if anyone would like to go ahead and unmute themselves, feel free to share your name, your organization, and your reason for joining this Lunch and Learn today. If you can't unmute, you can go ahead and type into the chat. So type into your chat, type name, organization, and then maybe why you were interested in joining. I think someone was trying to speak. All right, so we'll just give it a minute. If anyone would like to introduce themselves, feel free, type into the chat or go ahead and unmute. All right, we can go ahead and move it along. Oh, it looks like someone came into the chat. Oh, yes. Hello, Ray from Newcastle. And thank you for joining us today. So yes, you're new to the YES program and you're just looking a little bit to learn more. That's great. Thank you and welcome, Ray. I also saw Carlos sent a hello in the chat. Hello, Carlos. Thank you for joining. And once again, if anyone's having any audio issues, there is a dial-in option as well. So you can go ahead and call into the number as well. Sorry, was someone trying to speak? All right. Okay, let's go ahead. I'll pass it over to you, Ali, and you can take over from here.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today, and thanks, Zena, for the introduction. I will spend about 1 minute kind of giving you all a quick overview of my work on behalf of the National Summer Learning Association, and then kind of go into this nitty-gritty federal funding avenue and grant opportunities for youth employment opportunities and for any providers that are working in the youth workforce development space. So the National Summer Learning Association is a national nonprofit that provides technical assistance and advocacy on behalf of the 800 or so programs that we work with across the country to make sure that every student, no matter their background and no matter their socioeconomic status or anything regarding demographics, are able to access high quality summer learning programs. So in the policy space, we focus on making sure that the programs that provide opportunities for youth during the summer months are well funded by the government. So that's our normal appropriations work, where we lobby and advocate to Congress to continue funding programs that support these areas, but also making sure that each kid has access to summer meals during the months. We know that that's the time where kids often go the hungriest because they're not getting their meals from the school and or their free breakfast. And then on the COVID side, we were instrumental in working with members of Congress to help secure about $9 billion at the state level for summer and after school support via the states at the state education agencies, but also about $122 million as a carve out at the local education level. So we have been really busy during COVID, advocating to Congress. But what I did want to cover is the opportunities for non-districts, so non-school districts, inside the COVID-19 relief bills that have been passed down via Congress in the last couple of years. So as you can see on the screen, within the last 2 years, Congress has actually appropriated, for those of you who don't know, it means that the government has actually approved $350 billion in funds for direct supports to the states and the locals outside, again, the school district funding via the 3 combined COVID bills that were passed in the last year and a half. And this is through what's called the State and Local Fiscal Relief Fund. This is a very, very flexible grant program that provides governments, both at the state and local and municipality levels across the country, with very, very flexible funding related to fighting the pandemic, supporting families and businesses, maintaining, again, public services, and building, resilient and equitable recovery. And again, one of the focuses here can be work and youth workforce development. So I thought that, this would be a really relevant opportunity for you all to learn about these funds, because currently locals are sitting on a lot of money, and mayors in these towns are really looking for ways to partner with youth service programs that are already doing youth workforce development or have programs and different tools to help ensure that districts can use these funds and localities can use these funds to support youth. If you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned, these are very flexible funds. Usually government funding, has a lot of, I don't want to use the word strings, but it has a lot of parameters or ways that it must be used in order to, fit, how it fits in the bill or the legislation. But because this was emergency funding, this amount of money is like incredibly flexible. So if it's of interest to the groups on this call, that is sort of the work that I do, is helping connect these organizations to the federal government and or the locals that are spending these dollars. The White House, just so you all know, is currently meeting with organizations, again, to support this type of work. And so, again, I think Zena, we can share my contact information, but just as a side note, NSLA is one of my clients. I am actually the co-owner of a government relations firm that represents nonprofits and other organizations in the education, healthcare, and social justice space. And so, these opportunities are happening now, and it's, imperative that you start meeting with your locals and asking about these dollars, because they are looking for ways to spend those on things like youth workforce development, which is really a big priority at many of these local levels. I dropped the link there, which I'm sure we can share a hyperlink later. But again, that link is just so you can see how much your state and or locality is getting from the state and local relief funds. Again, it's a plug and play. You put your zip code in, you type your city, you can essentially see how much the government is sending down the pipeline on that. Next slide, because I know we're limited on time. One other thing, in addition to the emergency funding, in addition to the normal appropriations that Congress each year appropriates money for certain education and youth workforce, is the various grant opportunities. So again, just because we're limited on time here, I put one of the most recent grant programs that came out of the Department of Labor, which is their Youth Build grants. This is a very common grant that they propose. I think the cycle is typically every 3 to 5 years. They initiate a new grant cycle. So this is, a very relevant program. It is literally to fund organizations that provide pre-apprenticeship program models that encompass education, occupational skills, training, leadership development, and high quality post-program opportunities. Again, this is a pretty big grant program. You can see that they have an award floor. So the entity receiving the grant, is going to receive a minimum $700,000. And then, the award ceiling is no more than 1.5 per organization. But you can see that it's a $90 million grant program. So, there are a lot of programs under the Youth Build Grant Awards that are eligible for this funding. And so I encourage groups, to follow up with me, ask how we can help your organizations. This is what we do. We are advocates for these types of programs to ensure that you all are receiving the federal support. People often say, oh, it's too hard to get federal money. Well, you kind of have to know how to get it. And I'm happy, again, to help do this. We were very, very successful on behalf of National Summer Learning Association in getting certain carve outs as the COVID bills were being written. And now, we're working on lots of things at the federal level to ensure that these youth workforce programs are adequately funded moving forward. Again, really, really grateful to be here. Thank you, Zena. And if there are any questions, happy to take them. Oh, this is another one. Sorry. I know you broke up the slides over a couple, but I wasn't sure how many more. So one more. This is similar. This is just another Department of Labor youth workforce pathways demonstration grant. Again, there are a lot of these types of grants at the Department of Labor. You can see, again, this award ceiling is bigger. It's a $2.5 million award ceiling, but the program funding, it's only a $10 million grant. So if you're looking at, how many, right, they're probably giving about 5 awards, as if you were to look back at the other one, they're giving many, many more awards because it's a $90 million total program funding. But again, this is a very, very relevant program for you all to consider, whether or not you want to apply for these things. But again, it is right up this alley in terms of supporting youth workforce readiness and pathways and making it easy for youth to enter into the workforce. So again, I will say that they're looking for lots of diversity. They're looking for new applicants to enter the field. They don't want to continue just giving out the same old. So I encourage people to follow up with me if you have questions. Zena, I think that was my last slide.
Yes, that is the last one.
Okay. Okay. So Zena, you tell me, do you want people to ask questions now, or do you want people to just have my info and be able to follow up with me?
Sure, I'll take a quick pause for a minute or two, let anyone ask any questions if they have. So yeah, once again, if anyone has any questions for Allie, please feel free to unmute or just type into the chat your questions. We can also provide you her contact information to follow up separately. But yeah, we can take a second and see if anyone has any questions before we move on. And also, I know Allie covered a lot of questions. My colleague Nabila is going to be messaging everyone throughout this time to get your email addresses so that we can follow up with each of you if you have any other questions. But yes, if you do have questions right now, feel free to type away.
Okay.
All right, I think maybe we can go ahead and move along. If anyone has any questions, you can still type them throughout. I'll make sure to read them, but we can move on for right now. Thank you, Allie. All right, so as I mentioned, the YES application helps organizations to match youth to open employment opportunities. So I want to start off by taking a look at some of the common problems that some of our organizations were facing before using YES. So with one of our clients, MOED, the Baltimore City's Mayor's Office of Employment, they were using a manual paper application process. So they had to keep and store all of those paper applications. They received thousands of youth records and stored them on Excel sheets, and they would sift through those manually. And before using the YES application, they virtually had no online system in place. After using the YES application, some of our other youth organizations mentioned similar problems. Documents would go missing. It was difficult for them to keep track of all of those physical files and paperwork. And these were some of the issues that we had in mind when we went into the development of the YES application. So these organizations were seeing a very slow and tedious process with that manual paper process. And they were needing to use multiple softwares to get the job done. Overall, the process was a lot more difficult than it needed to be. And yeah, these were some of the issues that we went in mind when we went into the design of the YES application. So YES was made to address some of these issues with those solutions. YES is hosted in Amazon Web Services. So the problems of documents going missing is no longer an issue with the YES application because all of your files are safely backed up into the cloud. You don't have to worry about losing any of your files because the system will store it all for you. It's also the designated system for housing all of your program documentation in one place, separate from all other records. Job applications won't get mixed up with any other records because the system will keep track of it all, and you'll be able to check on the application's programs from start to finish. The system was specifically designed to replace the paper manual application process, so the registration and application are completely automated, which overall streamlines the job application and the matching process as well. Lastly, there is no need to keep track of multiple softwares because YES is an all-in-one system. It manages job applications for you, matches candidates to jobs, tracks timesheets, and hosts video web conferencing. So you no longer need those 5 different softwares anymore because the YES application is just one software that would address all of those for you. So what exactly is YES? It is a mobile-friendly web application system that allows candidates and employers to self-register while still giving program administrators control over the process and placing candidates into those match positions. The application is also hosted in Amazon Web Services, so the environment can automatically scale up and down, and you won't see any limitations on capacity or any changes of performance on your end. So YES is great because it can help your organization save time and save money. It automates the process of registering, managing, and matching those candidates to jobs. It also helps to streamline the entire process from registration to job assignments. So it helps you to avoid any confusion along the way. So like I mentioned earlier, we created this platform from the ground up. So that gives us the ability to completely customize the application to your program's needs. So it can include and maintain reports, email templates, and websites, anything that you need for your youth organization that's specific to your program. We can customize it and we can add that in for you. It also allows you to communicate directly with your candidates because it has a built-in video conferencing system. So you can use it if you're meeting with your youth or interviewing, you can use the built-in web conferencing system to conduct those interviews, conduct trainings, and just have general communications with your candidates. So we have 3 major roles or primary users that typically use the application. First, we have the candidate. So oftentimes that's the youth in this sense. They will be using the platform to register and submit their application. Next, we have the employer. So they'll be the one that registers their company in the platform and posts any available job postings that they have. And then lastly, we have the program administrators. So if you've joined this meeting today, that's likely your role. The program administrator is the one that would be managing the application, processing those youth interviews, matching the applicants to the open positions that have been posted by employers. So now I want to delve a little bit deeper into the admin functions. So as an administrator, you would be able to manage list templates, send out batch emails, and batch notifications to both the youth and the employers. You also have the access to your homepage where you can customize the layout, edit the content, add any media, videos, links that you need for your program into there. You can also create reports about your youth program. Any data that's stored in there can be automatically generated for you. So you can share those stats about your program with your team. And so we have three key features that I wanted to focus on today. The web conferencing tool, which is actually the tool that you're logged into today. Like I said, you can use that to help meet with your youth, conduct those interviews. I know a lot of these youth programs have trainings and interview prep, so all of that can be done through this built-in web conferencing system. We also have the Automatch feature and the time tracking feature, which I'll touch on briefly as well. So the Automatch feature is one of the coolest features that the Yes application has to offer. Through that, you're able to set your matching criteria about certain characteristics that you like the candidates to have, and the system will assign a score to those features based on your preference. And then it uses that to match the candidate to the best suited job opportunity for them. You also have that ability to do manual matching if that's how you prefer to do it. If your program requires that it's more detailed and needs a deeper look one-on-one, you can do that as well. But the Automatch feature makes the process a lot easier. And this is just a quick look at what the Automatch feature looks like in the Yes system. As you can see, there's a list of emails and candidates of all of the youth in the program. The part that I want to draw everyone's attention to is that middle column that says the score. So that score is generated based off the certain criteria that you set for those skills, and it will use that score to match the youth to the best available job opportunity for them. And next, I want to touch on the time tracking feature. That's our newest addition to our tool, and a lot of the clients that we work with are very happy about it. So it gives you the ability to initiate, produce, and submit youth timesheets to your program staff in a super simple and easy manner. Since it's built into the tool, it makes it really easier for employers, youth, and administrators to access it because it's in the same place that you used for all the other steps. The way it works is pretty simple. The worksite supervisor would initiate the timesheets, then the youth can go in, review the timesheet, approve it, and then it would pass over to the supervisor or the administrator to complete the final approval, and then it's just ready for payroll. So this is a quick look at what the timesheet feature looks like. So you can see the youth's position, the worksite that they're listed at, their name, and then it says the date of that time period, how many hours worked, and you can see on the last column the status. So if you're a youth or if you're the program administrator, you can go in, see what status your timesheet is in and what steps need to be taken next. So I did want to take a second to ask everyone a quick question about which of these features adds the most value to your program. There are quite a few. So maybe it was the timesheet feature, the auto match, the web conferencing, or the batch emails. So I'm going to take a second, ask a poll question. That should be coming your way. Take a minute, see if there was one that kind of interested you more than the other, and let me know. All right, I'll give it another second. Make sure everyone gets a chance to vote. All right. So just really quickly taking a look, it looks like a lot of people are really interested in the auto match. And then next, just the overall streamlining and the timesheet. Yes, so like I said, the timesheet and the auto match are the two features that we hear most about. And also the streamlining. So the application will help to speed up that overall application process. This is just a quick quote. So as I mentioned, we work with the Baltimore Mayor's Office of Employment Development. And this is a quote from Kevin McLam. He said that he's worked closely with DigiCon since 2011 to upgrade and simplify their summer jobs registration process. And they've been a tremendous partner in helping them meet their goals. So we also work with the City of Wilmington Youth Career and Development Program. We began supporting them in 2019. And then we also work with the Newcastle County Summer Youth Employment Program. So this is just to highlight a few of the organizations that are using the S application and have helped grow as a result. Lastly, I wanted to highlight our work with MOED. So since we began supporting MOED, we've helped them to grow from processing a few thousand applications now up to over 16,000 applications a year. So their program has grown significantly, and without the YES application, processing all of those applications would have taken so much longer. So we're really happy to continue to work with them and help them to grow. All right, so overall, that concludes our presentation for today. I just wanted to give everyone a quick chance to give you some information about how to follow up and reach out to us. So once again, my name is Zena. My information is included right here. We also have Terry and a few of our dev team members as well. And then Ali, thank you for putting your information into the chat. You can also reach out directly to Ali through there, or to one of our team members, and we can get you connected with her. I do think that it may be a good opportunity for everyone. If you did find some interest in the application today, to meet for a demo, and we can show you the actual application in detail, and maybe speak a little bit more about some of your youth programs and what your needs are. And we can help to determine if the YES application is a fit for you. So you can reach out to any of us if you're interested in setting up that demo. But thank you all so much for joining once again. Thank you, Ray. And if anyone has any questions now, we can take a minute to ask any final questions for myself, for any of the dev team members, and for Ali as well. Great. Thank you so much, Ali, once again. And thank you, everyone, for joining.